Good afternoon, educators, teachers. Welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Homotso, and I am welcoming you this lovely afternoon to the Macmillan Education Workshop that is all about creating a reading culture in the foundation phase classroom. Welcome, one and all, as we are having um, all our guests join us this afternoon. I will be taking you through proceedings. As I said, my name is Homoto. Uh, Today's workshop is going to be absolutely fantastic. And before I, introduce our presenter speaker, I would just like to note a few points while we have our guests joining us. We've got, this amazing initiative that we're running. This is the National Book Week. We know in celebration of National Book Week, Macmillan decided to go big. We wanted to go big, and we've dedicated a whole month to the joy of reading and the power of books to open minds, spark creativity, and foster lifelong learning. How have we done that? We've done that through, a range of things, such as this wonderful reading workshop that we're hosting today for teachers. We've got tips for parents on raising a reader. We've got interesting articles that we've put out about the importance of reading for kids and adults. And we've also got big prizes up for grabs for people to win this entire month. So we're asking that please do enjoy and engage with us this wonderful month of reading as we explore and really just delve into uh, National Book Month. We're saying National Book Month at Macmillan, and we hope that you will definitely enjoy today's workshop. Right now, we also wanted to make you aware that along with this wonderful workshop that we have for you today, we wanted to let you know about Macmillan Online Reading Corner. Now, a lot of you would have known this Reading Corner is available on YouTube. It's a collection of stories that are basically just creating a magical online world where teachers, learners, and parents can just log in for free and enjoy captivating tales from our exceptional Macmillan education readers. We also have a competition around that. You would have received an email, or you will still have a look in your inbox about this email. Check out our social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter/X, for more information. Do enter this competition. It's going to be absolutely great. We're giving away fantastic prizes, book hampers, meal vouchers, data vouchers. I've said a mouthful. Right now, also, one thing I would like to also make you aware of, as attendees are still entering by the hundreds, is today you are attending a workshop that would obviously award you a certificate. Yes, you heard that correctly. You will be getting a certificate. And once you've received your certificate, which will be emailed to you in 24 hours, you're welcome to claim those professional development points for you, which will obviously be great. We're making sure that this is obviously going to be worthwhile for your attendance, and as well, you're going to be gaining a lot of insight from today's session. One other thing that I'd like to make you aware of is throughout this workshop, if you do have questions, you're welcome to drop them in the question box. You should be seeing an icon that says questions. You're welcome to just drop your questions, and we will attend to those right at the end, where we will have a Q&A session. Right, now let's come to the reason why we're here. As I said, welcome again to creating a reading culture in foundation phase classroom workshop. Now, Dr. Heather Nadia Phillips is a postdoctoral research fellow in research doctorate at CPUT. 2024 marks 44 years of teaching experience for her, having held positions of deputy principal and principal at a primary school for 36 years, as well as lecturer under and postgraduate programs in education faculty at CPUT. Dr. Phillips' research expertise falls within teacher education, focusing on quality, professional development, pedagogy, critical thinking, and literacy. Her core responsibilities include publishing research articles, reviewing journal articles, supervision of postgraduate students, literacy training to develop critical thinking and reading for meaning in schools nationally, and the development of seminars focusing on research methodology. Dr. Phillips is the project director of the Sisonke Supervision Mentorship Program, an institutional project aimed at developing postgraduate supervisors, and assisted in the planning and the implementation of the program since 2021. Dr. Phillips currently supervises 3 doctoral students and 4 master's students. She has published more than 15 journal articles and 2 book chapters. Ladies and gentlemen, without going further into the program, I present to you Phillips. Welcome, Dr. Phillips.
Thank you very much, Hamotso. Thank you. And a very good afternoon to all our colleagues here today. But before we start, I want to say a very big thank you to Macmillan for affording me this opportunity. And a special thank you to Alet, to Ricky, and to Hamotso for making this easy for me. You know, I'm an older lady, so technology is a bit of an issue, but they've made it so easy for me. So a very big thank you. Colleagues, today we will be looking at creating a reading culture in foundation phase classrooms. And I have to tell you, I absolutely love foundation phase classrooms. When you step into a foundation phase classroom, you are greeted with blasts of color and excitement, and it is just a beautiful sight. So you are very fortunate to be teaching in the foundation phase. But this presentation, we will look at the value of reading in the foundation phase. And hopefully I will be sharing some tips with you, tips that will hopefully help you to create this vibrant reading culture in your classroom. But why is there such a need for this? I'm sure you know about the PEARLS study, the Progress in International Reading Literacy study of 2021 has shown that 81% of our grade 4 learners cannot read for meaning in any language. So what's it saying? Only 19% of our learners can. In effect, that tells us a story. It tells us that 8 out of every 10 learners cannot read for meaning. Oh my goodness, what is it that we are doing wrong? Or what is it that we are not doing? And how do we measure reading levels? I think generally we look at decoding skills, we look at fluency, comprehension, and vocabulary knowledge. And today I hope that I can give you some tips to help learners with these different elements of literacy. So, I see my screen doesn't want to move. There we go. So let's look at the whole issue of reading and how important it is. It is important because it lays the foundation for success. And how does it lay the foundation for success? It develops or it strengthens our cognitive skills. Skills like memory, critical thinking, problem solving, all the necessary skills that's needed for academic success in later grades. So, as teachers, we are fully aware of the struggles that our learners have. And therefore, it is important for us to develop reading for the following reasons. For language development, because reading helps, enhances vocabulary and language comprehension. Young learners are exposed to new words, to sentence structures, and to language patterns, and this helps them with their overall language development. It also develops creative and critical thinking. By reading books, we stimulate that. Our learners are, we encourage students to explore different perspectives, imagine new scenarios, and in that way also foster cognitive development. But you know what? Reading is also important for social and emotional growth. The stories that our children read can help them to understand realities of other children or other people and can teach them to empathize with the different emotions and with different social situations. So that emotional connection, it builds empathy and social skills. And of course, it exposes our students to diverse cultures, to diverse experiences, to viewpoints. It broadens their worldview and understanding um, of the world, and therefore also fosters inclusivity. So we must understand that reading is a fundamental skill that supports learning, and it supports learning across the curriculum. So I want to share some quotes that emphasize this really significant impact of reading on children's development. Firstly, you know Maria Montessori. She was the founder of the Montessori schools. And she says, the greatest gift we can give our children are the roots of responsibility and the wings of independence. Reading provides both of that. And then we have Malala Yousafzai. She is the youngest Nobel Prize winner. She's also an education activist, and she fought against the prohibition of education for girls in Pakistan. And Malala says, one child, one teacher, one pen, and one book can change the world. Is that not a liberating statement? And lastly, of course, Dr. Seuss, who is a children's book author and an illustrator and a cartoonist, that says, the more that you read, the more things you will know. The more that you learn, the more places you'll go. Isn't that absolutely beautiful? So, teachers, we are encouraged all the time through these quotes, etc. So then why are our children still struggling to read? And this made me go into research. I really did a lot of research on it. Firstly, our kids have limited experience with books. You know, with our economical situation and our high rates of unemployment, people struggle. Many children do not even have books at home. And then we come into the classroom. Learners have to share books because there's inadequate resources. And let's face it, teachers, we are so protective over our books in our class. And seldom many of us will allow, very seldom that we will allow our kids to take books home. So this does significantly impact our children's reading ability. Then there's poor phonemic awareness, that is joining sounds together to make words or breaking a word into components. And then also, research says that we place too much emphasis on sight words. And that is common words we expect our learners to instantly recognize. But are we exposing them enough? We show them the word once and then expect them to still know it next week. These are the little issues that come up. And then also we know the learning new language too early. Our learners that come in that do not have English as a home language has to suddenly make this shift and learn a new language. Now, I found this in the research, so I'm going to make this very clear. I don't think any of you fall under this because you are at this webinar. The fact that you are here tells me that you are the teachers who make a difference in the classrooms. But the researchers have found that there are some foundation-based teachers who still have not mastered the art of teaching reading. And therefore, we also experience they don't have the knowledge of literacy teaching strategies. And of course, our poorest schools are text poor. Unfortunately, that is the situation we have. But the research also says that there's a lot of wasted learning time during the school day. And I know that's not you, because you are here, you want to make a difference. So, teachers, what does this result in? It results in a lack of self motivation, a lack of a reading interest, parent involvement, and a lack of a positive attitude, which we need for our reading. So, I want to say to you that one thing they do say is that screens have become the default portal for information. But I want to say to you, the landscape of reading has been transformed by that very technology. We have moved from the traditional reading habits to digital formats. And the integration of technology into literacy instruction has been absolutely profound. So using interactive technology-based devices will make reading more engaging. It will advance vocabulary and fluency. There's the ease of accessing an extensive library of ebooks. You can't provide the child with a library like that, but they're able to access it using technology. So really, technology, integrating technology into reading instruction, you can use interactive storybooks, which will enhance engagement and provide auditory and visual support. You can use text to speech software, where you support struggling learners and provide accessibility. Just here, I want to say that when you use the software that's based on listening skills, then for our colleagues that teach our deaf and hard of hearing children, we need to make sure that there are that the wording as it is being said is on the screen. Then there's digital writing tools, where we encourage our learners to write creatively, and of course the online reading resources. That's educational videos, interactive games, your reading assessments, etc. And our teachers, what's important is that we need to expose our learners to these books. So I ask you, what is a reading corner? What is a culture of reading? I'm so sorry. A culture, and I first want to tell you about the Matthew effect. The Matthew effect, which means, and it's aligned with the saying, the rich gets richer and the poor gets poorer. And the Matthew effect really means that when one is competent in reading, you learn more and you grow richer in knowledge and proficiency. Conversely, when you are not competent in reading, you get poorer in your language proficiency over the years. So they say the same applies here. The rich gets richer and the poor gets poorer. So what is this reading culture that we're talking about to make sure that our children get richer? It is you as the teacher creating an environment where reading is celebrated, where it's appreciated, where it is respected. And it exists when children read of their own free will on a regular basis. So when your child gets up from his desk, goes to your reading corner, selects a book, selects a place to sit and read it, then it tells me that you have already created a culture of reading. When your learners are willing and active participants and they can anticipate the satisfaction they'll get from picking up a book, then you have created a reading culture. So, whilst all this is good and well, there are challenges in fostering this reading culture, and that is we have limited time. Foundation phase teachers face time constraints, and that makes it challenging to dedicate sufficient time for this. There's varied learner needs. We address the diverse learner needs of young learners, which requires individual support and, of course, the lack of resources. And this is a real problem. And the lack of high quality books and technology does hinder the development of the reading culture. But hopefully, we will show how these can be mitigated as we proceed through this webinar. So, the first step in creating your reading culture is building a reading culture in your environment. Now, I have to acknowledge Pete, the librarian, whom you can find on Google, shared with us this beautiful way of creating a reading culture. And Pete, the librarian, says, start with your environment. Your environment is your classroom. So let's look at things we can do. We can have engaging displays. We can have students build and design library displays. We can put up displays that are under construction, and we can set up trending and bestseller displays. Now, where will all this happen? The one place that your kids should love the most, and that is your reading corner. This is where you spark the curiosity by creating this reading space. Now, some people have a large space, some have a small space. We have to be creative and we have to try to be organized. So, we can transform this reading space by using simple and inexpensive and things that you bring from home. We can create this colorful display. What is important, teachers, for me is that it's colorful and it's comfortable. So throw your cushions around and just let them immerse themselves in this space. Now, what's the advantages of creating this space? What are the benefits for your learners? And is it worth it to take the time to create it? Absolutely yes. Because this space offers a calming and quiet space and can help you for your starter readers. It provides a space where children can enjoy books either individually or as a group, little group. It can be used for when children need some quiet time on their own or when you need to break up a larger group. And it supports the development of literacy and nurtures a love of reading from a young age. Use the space to celebrate multilingual literature with your children and use a number of reading games to keep your learners engaged. So, what should be in our reading corner? There should be books. There should be series of books. There should be loads of games, soft toys, comics, tablets with ebooks, magazines, newspapers, advertisements, anything that the child can read. Now, teachers, if you have a restricted space in your classroom, then all you need is a little wall and put a little painting up on it. Do you see that? Now, let's see how we can show trending and bestseller displays. So, if your students are reading the same book for the week, many students read the same book, then it becomes a bestseller. You put up a little chart that says bestseller for the week, where that book is. And what's very good and very encouraging is to put up a little chart where you have the title of the book, you have the author of the book, and the whole class knows that James, Sani, and Mary read this book. Then also, what's trending? So you can have a whole shelf with books about one topic. And in this case, if it's about friends, then you can on a little chart, you can say we are reading books about friends, and Sylvia, Jerry, Lisa, Robert, and Bernie have added their names because they've read a book about friends. And in this way, when the children see that their names are there as proof of their reading, it just encourages everybody else. Another thing you could encourage them to do is to create displays in the little reading corner. Or if you are busy with the display and it's not done, put a chart that says under construction and let your children help you. Let them be an active part of this reading corner. Let them help you to paste words onto charts to create, just to make your reading corner look good. When learners are involved in being creative, they become more interested and they become more responsible in that space. So we need to create spaces that will entice our students to immerse themselves in books particularly. Now, I want to give you a little bit of advice. Edulus at CTLI, at the CTLI campus in Nooiensfontein, if you are in the Western Cape or in Cape Town, that is a fabulous library, and they will borrow 100 books to you for your classroom, absolutely free. You can exchange it whenever you are ready. They also tell you, please let the kids take the books home. So they are really very, very helpful. Teachers, if you can, find their information, their contact details, call them, or if you can, go there. And if you are not in this province, then you can call them and find out if there are any branches in other provinces where you can also make use of this absolutely marvelous opportunity. So, must-haves for your reading corner, teachers, our games. You know kids have fun with games, and games can be such a marvelous way to get your learners to increase their vocabulary, to learn words, to learn about sentence structure. And I want to share some of these games with you. So let's look at the invisible word game. You write words with a white crayon on a white page, and all they are expected to do is to color over it. They have so much fun with this, and then they read the words. Or you can play bingo. For example, that's your bingo charts, and here we have something that happens often. That's frequently. See how they're developing their vocabulary. Girls, boys, men, women, and babies are? Oh, they are people. What comes after first? Second. And if they have an entire row filled in, they shout bingo. And yes, you give them a reward. But the reward can be that they can sit and have extra time in the reading corner. So I'm going to share some games with you that really will make a big difference in your classroom. So we have little crossword puzzles. They can learn new words and their meanings, and it helps them communicate effectively. Beautiful. Imagine they are done with their work at the tables. They have the freedom to go to the reading corner, to take out the game. They would love to do this. Absolutely. Then our word searches. I know there are people who think this is not a good teaching tool, but I think it's an amazing tool because it increases students' knowledge of vocabulary. And you know what, teachers? It breaks the monotony of the teaching and the learning process. And here we have unscramble the letters. Oh, wow. These letters, these may look a bit difficult for you, but you know what, teachers, you can create your own. A, B, T, and they can make the word bat. So use these. They are absolutely marvelous to use. And then we have things like snakes and ladder games, and they love this, eh? Now, I want to say, I know if you don't have money to buy the dice, here's a little net. You can, if you get the PowerPoint, you can just print this off, or you can find it on the internet, and you can get your kids to help you to actually cut them out. And I know maybe they don't have fine motor skills well developed yet, but maybe the older learners, and they can make tons of dice which you can use. Now, this game, they will throw the dice, and you'll start. If they throw a 1, on that first block, they must mention 3 animals that have fur. You see how you're extending their knowledge? Because it's not just, there's 3 other learners who are playing this game. So you're extending their knowledge again. But the wonderful thing about this is you can actually substitute this with anything, with words that you are doing in your classroom at the time, with information from stories or from the life skills program. So you can you can integrate it into the life skills program where they will still be learning words, even in mathematics. Then there are, oh, I love this, the dominoes. Here you're teaching the short E and the long E, the E and the E. So there's screen, and they must find another word with a long E sound. Now imagine if kids are doing this all the time. B and he, beep and beef. Do you see how you are consolidating their phonics, right? And you can change it about, and you can use it for any other language rule. I love this one, but I suppose if you are doing just verbs and nouns, then you can use that. But yeah, look at this. She, what is that? Find the domino with a pronoun. An adjective will go next to that because smelly is an adjective. So teachers, create your own dominoes, specifically for aspects that your learners are struggling with, or the vocabulary that you are working with. And you know what you do, teachers? Cover this with that sticky Coverlon and pack them away neatly elasticated. You can use them for years. I promise you, you can use them for years. Then we have some, oh, and I'm sure you know this. This is the fishing game. Oh no, this is the footsteps. So if you have your 8 new words for this week, just cut out little shapes of footsteps and write the word on there and put it from the door going into their desks, and they have to step on each footstep and read the words. By the end of that week, they're going to know their words. I can promise you that. And I know when I taught in the foundation phase, I took some of the newsprint and put it all along the side of my class and had my kids paint a river. And then I put bricks on the river and I pasted the words on the bricks. And I would say to them, be careful now. If you don't know those words, you're going to fall off, you're going to get wet. And they would really absolutely love these different ways of using, of developing and helping them with their vocabulary. And then there's the fishing game. And you know, teachers, you have a little hand rod with a string, and you put a magnet at the end, and you have your little fish which they can cut out, make them part of all of these activities. And you put a little steel pin in, and they can actually pick up words, and they have to read the words that they pick up. They then hold those words with them, and at the end of the game, they can see who got the most words correct. And I believe you me, if you as much as make a mistake, the other learners are going to rectify them immediately. So it's a beautiful game to play. And of course, some other puzzles, nice way to extend vocabulary. Instead of the learners saying not healthy, they can say unhealthy. So these are cut out and they're put together. And this is where you use the prefixes and the suffixes to assist you. And I know this example may be a little bit advanced, but you do soil in the foundation phase, different kinds of soil, and the other part can have clay, loam, etc. This is how we manage our time. Many times we say we don't have enough time to do everything we need to do. Here you are doing integration with your life skills. So while doing life skills, you are also doing reading. You are also doing development of vocabulary. You are also doing listening skills. So these are good ways to assist your learners. And it's a different way it's a different tool that you use, which just makes them excited. So, teachers, and you know our kids love snakes and ladders, and have your snakes and ladder games with your die and put your words down there, those phonic words that they always get wrong, or your sight words, the there and the there and the they and all of those words that your kids struggle with. The rabbit race, and again, teachers, you can substitute these. First term, you can have that set of words on there. In the second term, you can make a new one with different words. Just make sure that you really look after them, that you prepare them with Cavilon and hard plastic so that you can keep them for many, many years. And in this way, you are just developing your learners all the time. So I am presenting you with some templates that you can use. You can create your own word games. You can let your children create games for the reading corner. But this is what I absolutely love. And this is the library cards. So, like the Monopoly cards, you have those cards in there. You cut these out, and when they play the game, you have these cards. In here, you can insert take a card or wherever at strategic places. Now, remember, they would have had to read. You must tell them that they need to read a book before they can play these games, or a specific game, or for a specific day or two over a week. Then, if they get to number 5, and number 5 says read a card, they draw a card. Now, imagine, teachers, your grade 1, your grade 2, your grade 3 learners answering. And I know they're going to possibly need help. Who is the author of your book? And they can give you an answer. What is your least favorite part of the book and why? Um, how how are you similar to the main character? They may not be able to read, but they can put up their hand when they have to use a library card and get the teacher to help them in the meantime. But teachers, I think we really underestimate our learners and what they are able to do. So there are a myriad of games. Access them on Google. I know somewhere here I put a website where you can get some free games, and just let your kids go wild with it. You will be surprised with the outcome. So that's everything you have in your reading corner. But you have a whole classroom. And your classroom, if you want to create a reading culture in your classroom, you have to have a literacy rich classroom environment, which will include your word walls. See again how we're using content posters. You can put in a key. Yes, vocabulary, you are doing science and literacy integrated. Your anchor charts, and I absolutely love this, teachers. I want you to look at just this. Imagine your little learners. Ah, they're so cute. Imagine them after you've read the story of the three little pigs, or after their parents have read it to them. You put this up on your wall, and first you ask them, who are the characters in the story? Oh man, imagine that little grade one little girls or boys saying, Teacher, the characters are three little pigs. See how we are starting right at the bottom with them. What is the setting of the story, grade ones or grade twos? Teacher, it happened in a house in the woods. Isn't that wonderful? What is the problem that the three billy goat grubs had? There was a monster under the bridge. How did they solve the problem? Oh, teachers, I'm getting excited. I'm getting so excited. But just imagine your little ones being able to answer these questions that our grade 5, 6, and 7s struggle with. But we have to create the opportunities. We have to put these things on our walls after we've done it with our kids, and so that they are reminded. And when they go and read a book, they think in terms of who are the characters, where is the story set, what is the problem in the story, and you make them fabulous readers. So teachers, another way is to integrate with mathematics. You're asking questions, how many fingers are on my hands, or how many fingers on 8 hands? They are reading, right? They are reading. You display the learner's work, um, encourage them by giving, these can be photocopies, and you just put them up, you're encouraging them to learn. Motivate your learners, teachers, make them feel good by putting up, this is on the inside of a classroom's door. Also labeling items. If they see that word stapler enough, every time they use it, they're going to know how to write, to spell the word. So now that's your environment. Now we also have to build a reading culture by reading. They read to students 10 minutes a day for your strugglers, book teasers, read around the curriculum. Do you see how this comes in all the time? Read across the curriculum. Lead by example and look at deer. Now let's see what that is all about. Book teasers. Teachers, all you have to do is put the book in an envelope, cut the top part off, show something of the book, and you get them curious. Or open a book to a page that really is attractive, you get them to want to read. Important, teachers, to read to students, to read aloud. Reading aloud is the foundation of literacy development. They learn so many skills. They learn new vocabulary. You model phrased fluency and expressive reading to them. You help your children to understand what reading for pleasure is all about. You will also develop an interest, develop their interest in reading. Um, and silent reading. Oh my gosh, silent reading is a time when they don't speak. They just read. It's uninterrupted. So your learners are on their own with their books. They read silently, which means they are now compelled to navigate their way through any trouble spot. So if they cannot read a word, the, the, they cannot come to you because it's silent reading. So they're going to try everything to figure it out. Look at what comes before. Look at what comes after. Significantly contributes to the development of their reading confidence. And then interactive classroom activities is very important to do, where you write a sentence on a board, part of a sentence, they add it, you write the additions, and in that way you can develop a paragraph. Or One child reads a text and whispers it, and you know that whispering chain that goes at the back of the class, of the row, that learner stands up and tells the teacher what he heard, and the teacher writes that on the board, and you compare what was heard to what was read. Beautiful lessons for them. And then dear means drop everything and read. So in this year, they have an opportunity. When you can have a little whistle, you can have a bell. When they know if you whistle 5 times, it's drop everything and read. So they read their own book. You sit by yourself. They stay in one spot. They read silently. They read the whole time. And this develops them into lifelong readers, increases their comprehension, their vocabulary. It builds their background knowledge, improves their writing skills, and fosters a beautiful classroom community. Teachers. So then also, we have to create a reading culture with events and programs like author visits, book week, literature festivals, Roald Dahl Day, make your own book awards, book clubs, reading retreat, guest readers, holiday reading bags, rewards. Now, make a crown and crown a learner each week. It does the world for their confidence, and encourage the others. Make your own book awards, and these can be the rewards that you give them when they do something well. And teachers, this early morning book club, I think it is absolutely amazing. Get your learners to get into groups and have a book club, and they can come 10 minutes early in the morning, sit somewhere on the playground or in the classroom, but they have rules for their sessions. You keep the sessions short, just 10 minutes. They learn to respect each individual reader's ability, and you can draft 1 or 2 questions just to facilitate the conversations they're going to have about their books. Wonderful activity. Get parents involved, get the community involved, and from that, they can learn how to give a book talk. So after all these conversations they've had, they can now come forward and volunteer to give a book talk to the class, to encourage the class to read that book. Teachers, we don't get our parents involved often enough. But I'm sure if you send your parents a special invitation, and you must remember, it's not always what we say, it is how we say it. So I say, dear parent, we would like to invite you to be a guest reader in our classroom on Tuesday, Wednesday, give the date. You are welcome to read a book of your choice. You are also welcome to do a craft or activity, or even bring a snack. Please let us know if you are willing and available. We would love to have you. Get your parents involved. I'm sure you're going to get 1 or 2 responses. Then a reading retreat. Isn't that fantastic? Get them to just sit for 10 minutes during the school day. They can earn a reading retreat. And a reading retreat can happen on 3 consecutive days. Today, I am actually in a writing retreat. I took time off to do this webinar. So this is where they just read and they just enjoy. Make your own book awards and celebrate. And I hope you celebrated, and you're still celebrating Book Day. Let them dress up. Just a few days ago, my granddaughter, last week, she went into school as a princess. So, and then what's also very important is, if 5 or 6 children have already read a book in your classroom, get them together and ask them to do a role play. Wonderful. Okay, so building a reading culture with your students. There's a book suggestion poll, a library squad, share your favorite books, a suggestion box, and bridge the age gap. Now, teachers, share your favorites. Show and tell. This can even be used as an assessment. After they've read a book and they feel good about it, let them come. This is your speaking assessment. bridging the age gap. Here we have an older brother reading to his siblings. Now, teachers, we need to get used to the idea that we have to send books home. And what would be wonderful is with a book that you send home, you can choose to send that fluffy toy home. So at the beginning of the year already, you ask your parents to donate fluffy toys to your classroom. And this fluffy toy will really impact their reading, because now they read by association. And we have proven this with a project that was done years ago. Then our suggestion box, very important. Our kids need to have a voice. So please, teachers, and give them some ideas of what kinds of suggestions you're looking for, and let them put it in the suggestion box. But I think one very important thing is we need to open the suggestion box, right? We need to open it regularly. Take out those suggestions. Speak to our classrooms as a whole. Speak to your class. This was suggested. What do you think? How can we do it? How can we improve on it? Right. And then your library squad. So you can have a rotating um, reading corner squad, or if you want to call that your library squad, and this can be rotated throughout the year. These teams take responsibility to care for the library, and that by doing that, they are encouraging others to read. And then also don't forget to manage the recommendations and the suggestions from classmates. And or your reading squad can make sure that you don't forget about it. And they also look at other chores required in the reading corner in the classroom. So, teachers, I want to share this with you. This is a little poem that was read by a learner, that was written by a learner, a little bit older learner. And I want you to notice what the learner is struggling with. So the learner says, I'm all mixed up. I need help from you. How do I know why the sky is blue? I do not know. I wish I knew. Is my sister aged 4 or 2? I am named Marie. She is named B. We eat red berries by the water at the sea. I have a lot of work to do. I'll sew a button on your coat, on the coat you wear. I'll sit on that chair. I'll wait right there. Oops. And I have this little child shedding a tear. And why is the child shedding a tear, my dear colleagues? Because the child says, I'm all mixed up. I need help from you. Can you choose the right words? See what you can do. So teachers, very often we miss the nuances of those learners that are really struggling. So what can we conclude from all of this? How can creating a reading culture in your classroom help you as a teacher? It builds a positive community that shares an enthusiasm and love for reading. It breeds capable and committed readers. It improves your student outcomes, and it improves your learners' ability to concentrate. It boosts learner well-being. And at the end, it will strengthen cognitive skills leading to academic success. And all of this, put into a nutshell, really means that you are going to have better discipline in your classes. When your children are enthusiastic, when your children are involved, when your children are part of the creation of what you're doing in your classroom. And if they are being boosted, they are going to be a lot calmer. I am sure. So, dear teachers, with 5 minutes left, I want to say to you on behalf of all your learners, thank you for the work that you do. Thank you, teacher, for the amazing work that you do. So I do hope that you will, I'm sorry if I had to rush, but I do hope that you'll be able to take some of these tips and really make it happen. Teachers, it's not going to happen tomorrow. It may not happen next week. But as you have time, just add one or two little things into your daily classroom and slowly start creating that culture of reading. I do wish you the best um, for this project that I hope you are going to um, be prepared to take on. Thank you very much, teachers. And thank you, Homotso.
Wow, that was absolutely amazing. Thank you so much, Doctor. I thoroughly enjoyed that. And I'm sure our educators had a time with your workshop. Thank you so much. Before I jump into the Q&A, I just wanted to thank everyone who attended the workshop today. We do really hope that you gained quite a lot of information. There is a handout link for you to click to access the PowerPoint presentation, and as well for you to connect with us. Please see all the information on the screen, our telephone, our customer services email address, our website, our social media platforms, where you can interact and engage with us at all times. Now, I am going to quickly just go through our Q&A because we definitely had some engagement, Doctor. The first question is, how can I help a dyslexic learner with reading?
Oh, yes, that is such, and that will take a whole workshop. I think that is going to take a whole workshop. But I think the first the stepping stone to helping your learner is number one, that as a teacher you fully understand what that learner is experiencing. Because teachers, what you see when you look at a word is not necessarily what they see when they look at a word. So I think step one would be to really understand what dyslexia is, understand what your learners are experiencing. And if you understand what your learners are experiencing, you will know how to help them. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Doctor. Next question. I'm currently teaching grade 8s who are not interested in books and reading, literature in general. I would like to start a book club to encourage reading. I don't know where and how to start. Please advise.
um, Grade eights, they're also the babies, and they experience so many things, adaptations, etc. But I would suggest that you start a book club right in your classroom first. Once you see, having a book club, you need to understand that there are very specific rules in your book club. You need to understand that there needs to be loads of discussions going on. And at that age, they would need to have a book. They would need to be reading maybe the same book in the beginning, or two or three of them reading the same book. I would suggest just start a little book club in your classroom, because it's people that they know, it's learners, that it's their peers. They're going to feel comfortable, and very important, they must choose who they want to who they want in their book club. So it's a choice that they make. So you could go and say, right, there are 4 book clubs I want to create. Maybe put up a different color um, chart somewhere. They can write their names up. But they choose that. Once their names are up, then you're going to start the process. So you're going to look at what are the rules and make them part of the rules. Please make them part of creating the rules, but also explain to them what book clubs are. What's the purpose of a book club? What do we want to achieve within that book club? And once they have started and it grows in the classroom, you can then look at outside of the classroom. And maybe you can be the teacher who then promotes book clubs within the grade or within the phase, etc. And this will spur them on. Also, maybe speak to the library in your area or libraries if you have, and tell them that you have these book clubs going. Do they offer a service in terms of book clubs? Maybe kids can go to after school, etc. So I hope that helps you, my dear.
Thank you, Doctor. Next question. What age do we start teaching children to read?
Ha! Right from the time they're born. you know, teachers, a child from the time, when they are, from the time they are babies up until grade 3, they learn to read. From grade 4 upwards, they read to learn. Everything, you know that there are children who are 3 and 4 years old who are fluent readers, out there. And you must go and do your research. Um, everything your child sees, and that is why creating this reading culture is so important. Even in your home, when my grandchildren were babies, they always had books, the thickest pages so that they don't break them. But books are there from the time your children are able to hold a book in their hand. And that is how you're going to create fantastic readers, because they start reading pictures first. They will look at the cow and you say, what is that? A cow. The word cow will be there, but they will say a cow, or they will say a flower. That they are starting to read. So please, teachers, when you create this reading culture in your classroom, and there's a print rich environment, and there's opportunity for your learners to be able to go and just throw themselves down in the reading corner and read. I used to take my shoes off and I used to lay down on the pillows, and the kids used to lay all over me, but we were reading. You have to create opportunities for your children to learn to read from the time they are babies, if it's your own children, or at school, from whatever grade age they are in the grade. Create the environment and have the resources there. We see how my grandkids were 2, 3 years old, and they just flipped the phone. They knew more about that cell phone than I did. They could go to exactly what YouTube video they wanted, and they were 3 years old. So you know what? They can read in their own way. So remember, from the time they are born to about the end of grade 3, grade 4, they learning to read. These are their formative years. Whatever you do in these years are going to make the biggest impact in terms of literacy, in terms of mathematics. And that's why you hold the future of our world in your hands, because you are the teachers who lay the foundation for our future generations, the foundation phase. Thank you, Motso.
Thank you, Doctor. Okay, we've got another question here. Educator says, ideally, I would love to have a reading corner, but we are frankly wall to wall with tables. Is there an alternative?
Like you saw in the second reading corner I showed you, if you can have a very small space, or even, you know what, take a space behind your table or in a corner somewhere, and you may not be able, even if you have 1 or 2 little cushions there, or alternatively, take all four corners of your classroom and have some books there. And I know it's not ideal, but you need to start somewhere. Or arrange your desks in such a way that you can have a little space in the center. And but fill your walls. Fill your walls with have your walls print rich. And that is specifically why I showed you that one slide where the teacher painted the tree on the wall because of the limited space and just had 2 or 3 pillows there. And I'm sorry that you have to experience that. But just try. Let's try to be as creative as you possibly can. And your kids will benefit, I promise you. And thank you. And thank you for not just saying, I don't have the space. I commend you for that. Thank you for just not giving up and saying, I don't have the space. But I would love to hear from you, to hear how creative you're going to be in your classroom.
Okay, next question. What is the organization called that offers books on rotation?
It's Are you talking about Edulis? It's a library. You will find the name, and it's at the CTLI campus in Nooiensfontein. But you'll find the name in the PowerPoint. You can just find the contact details. But the CTLI library, Edulis, they are absolutely fantastic. I was there now in June because we did a reading for meaning course at CTLI. We trained teachers there, and we took our teachers that we were training into the library. They are awesome. You're not going to be sorry if you contact them.
Great. Okay, another question. What is the best way to teach grade R learners to start with reading?
Exposure. Exposure. Again, our little kids at home who are not in grade R yet, they are able to recognize or identify. You see an ant, they know then. And we have to start with phonics. But I think before we even start with phonics, we have to create that love for books, the interest in books. That is what we have to create first. And once you have created that, teaching them to read, teaching them their phonics, teaching them to identify or sound words, that will come very, very easily. But you have to start by nurturing them, nurturing that love of books. They must see that books are exciting. They must know that they can find important, invaluable information in those books. So we all start teaching reading by teaching the phonic sounds, etc. But I think the kids that progress very well with phonic sounds, with reading, learning to read, are the kids who were exposed to a print-rich environment, who were exposed to books, who were exposed to the wonder of books. And this, again, is what your reading corner is going to do. This again, those games and things, that is what it's going to do. Even if your grade R's are just throwing the dice and moving it doesn't matter. They are constantly seeing those words and it's making an impact. We always think that if for children to learn, we have to teach. We have to teach. Children learn incidentally. Children learn with their eyes. So once they have that solid foundation, then the actual reading just becomes, it's almost natural for them to learn the phonics and learn to sound out words and this whole phonemic awareness. But just before you go, Hamotso, the sight words, some of the words that they cannot sound out, They get to know. How do they get to identify their name so easily when they are 3 and 4 years old? They can see that's my name. They're reading. They're reading their name. Right? Thank you, Hamotso.
Some thanks, Doctor. Another question. Can I please get the name of the library in Western Cape that was mentioned earlier?
Okay, I
This
just
was
said
earlier in the presentation.
Edulist. It's Edulist, and you will find that information in the. I'm sure I put that. Said it's Edulist.
PowerPoint.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, it is in the PowerPoint.
All right. Another one. How do I keep a learner who keeps on forgetting reading that was done? Example: the learner forgets what was done in the previous terms.
Oh, shame, man. You see, there are many possible reasons for that. Number one, we know all our learners learn at different paces, right? Because they develop differently. And I remember having a learner that couldn't read, really couldn't read, but he was so excited when I sat on the mat and he wants to come and read. And one day he was reading his book upside down and he read that page perfectly. And my heart broke because I realized this child wanted me just to say something good to him. He wanted to shine, and I really made him shine, even though his book was upside down. I mean, not the correct way up. So we have to understand those nuances. These learners have to be nurtured. We have teachers. I know you say you don't have time, but we have to have patience with them. A good idea is, I used to have a lot of parents come into my classroom. They make life so easy for you as a teacher. So my struggling learners, they would sit and read with those struggling. Take them out of the classroom, sit outside if the weather is good, and they would work with them. And they would revise and consolidate the phonics and consolidate the reading of words through phonics, because that means that your learner does not know the sounds. It's not embedded, it hasn't been consolidated enough. So get your parents in to help you. Why must you struggle on your own? Many parents are willing to come in. We just have to, of course, let them understand, that these are the rules, etc., and not to shout at the kids, and or let them work in the classroom in a little corner. Get as much help as you can. But you need to go through the process, and make that child feel validated. If he reads just one word correctly, validate that, because validation can create miracles. I promise you, teachers, it can create miracles. On the other hand, it may be that the child has a barrier to learning, but unless you know what the barrier is, it's going to be very difficult for you to manage it. But you do have your your groups at school whom you can go to for assistance. Remember, there's a process. How's it, DBST? I can't remember, but we had other names for it when I was at school. So you're going to the first step. You're going to say, "This is my learner. These are the problems I'm experiencing." They are supposed to give you um, um, help. They're supposed to provide some guidance to you, which you apply again, and that whole process. So, if your child needs to be tested at the end, then you have everything in place, because it might be that it is a learning barrier. But in the meantime, validate your child. Get somebody to assist you in the classroom with him, and you'll be able to see if there's going to be progress or not. And that will be your guiding guidance to what the next steps should be. But sometimes we're too hasty to send our children for testing, because we must remember all our children develop at a different pace and at different levels. And that little boy or girl maybe just need an extra few months and may become a fantastic reader. So we must be aware of all the options that surrounds this.
KG and Dr. Heather, sorry to interrupt. We're already 15 minutes over time, so I think we should end it right there.
Yes.
Yeah, may I make a suggestion to everybody that's in the call? If you still have questions for us, please drop us an email at our email address. You can actually just send an email to not to customer services, but you can send it to ntc@macmillaneducation.co.za, and questions we can't answer, we will forward to Dr. Phillips so she can just respond to them if there's any pressing things that you really need assistance with, if that would make it easier.
Thank you very much. I hope I've answered, I hope I've helped people a little bit.
Thank you so much, Doctor. This has been absolutely amazing. We thank every single one of our educators who joined us this afternoon. And yeah, we hope to see you soon again in the next one. For the rest of your day, please do enjoy. Keep safe. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everybody. Go well. Bye-bye.
Bye.